I guess I'll just check to see if we are ready to start. Paul, do you think this is pretty much everybody that we're going to have on board here?
Yeah, we have 29 on, and I can admit people as they join, but I think you're good.
Okay. All right, well, I think we'll get started then. So let's see, my name is Rich Tulikangas. I'm with Voc Rehab Vermont. I'm the Director of Linking Learning to Careers, and I'm gonna get us started here. And we do have a presentation to share. So I'm going to put that up for us. And I'll hopefully get up to the initial opening slide here. All right. So let me ask folks if you can see the presentation slide on the screen.
Good.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, excellent. That's a good indicator. So this session is apprenticeship and other earn and learn opportunities for students and youth. So we're excited to have you here, and I'm going to go right to, if my slide changer will allow me, to what our objectives are for this session. So basically, we'd like an opportunity to talk about some definitions when we talk about earn and learn opportunities for youth. We'd like to have a little bit of shared information about what we mean about some of those different options. So that includes an overview of pre-apprenticeship and registered apprenticeship in the state of Vermont. Some information regarding the Vermont Youth Employment Program, which is also run by the Vermont Department of Labor. We'll talk about some new and emerging opportunities that are coming up, and discuss ideas for how do we build a coordinated and comprehensive system for opportunities. How do we pull all of these things together in a way, hopefully, that that makes sense and everybody kind of knows what's out there. So for our session today, here are our presenters, and I'm going to ask our presenters to introduce themselves. Judy, do you want to start?
Sure. My name is Judy Borbeau. I am the Apprenticeship Program Supervisor with the Vermont Department of Labor.
Tracy?
Hi, I'm Tracy Verge from the Vermont Department of Labor. I'm the VDOL Program Administrator for the Youth, Adult, and Dislocated Worker Programs.
All right, and Nat?
Good morning, Nat Piper. I have a long title, Business, Legislative, and Community Relations Manager for Voc Rehab Vermont. That's a fancy way of saying I pretty much oversee the Creative Workforce Solutions Initiative. Good morning.
Awesome. Thank you all. And again, I'm Rich Tulikangas, Director of Linking Learning to Careers at Voc Rehab Vermont, and also helping to coordinate some of our new learn and earn opportunities at Voc Rehab, and help support progressive education opportunities going forward. So one of the things that we wanted to do was talk a little bit about developing some shared understandings of what we mean by these different kinds of opportunities. So earn and learn is kind of a, I guess, a newer term that we're adopting that describe a number of different ways that individuals, youth, can participate in training experiences or educational experiences that include some form of pay. So again, while they're in the course of this experience, they're also getting paid for it, or at least receiving some sort of a stipend. Pre-apprenticeship is a more specific training opportunity that includes technical and job readiness skills, and really helps a youth prepare for a registered apprenticeship, which we'll get into in a moment here. The pre-apprenticeships enable students to earn credit towards completion of a registered apprenticeship program. And registered apprenticeship, which you'll hear a fair bit more from Judy about, is a program of the U.S. Department of Labor. It's managed in Vermont by the Vermont Department of Labor, And it connects job seekers looking to learn new skills with employers who are looking for qualified workers. So that's really the key in terms of registered apprenticeships. They're paid from day one, which is an important consideration for people getting into registered apprenticeship. And there's academic instruction that's connected to it. So that gets us into this idea of related technical instruction. So all registered apprenticeships require an element of related instruction. So this can be delivered by a number of different organizations or agencies. Sometimes it's including online coursework, some in-person, academic work as well. And in Vermont, a lot of the related instruction is provided through Community College of Vermont or Vermont Technical College. All right, and with that, I am going to turn it over to Judy to talk about registered apprenticeships.
Thanks, Rich. Registered apprenticeship, you probably hear the term apprenticeship frequently. It's a popular term right now. It gets even more popular because it's a time-proven effective training model, which means that you're earning and learning at the same time. So, for example, let's say an electrician, an electrical apprentice, you are going to work for an employer. You're an employee of that company. They're going to monitor your progress, help you give creative feedback or positive feedback, negative, whatever, but you're going to learn and you're going to grow in your field. You also take related instruction classes. That's a key part of every registered apprenticeship program. And what that does, it helps meet the employer's needs, and they need skilled labor and worker needs. And it's a clearly defined path to career advancement. Plus, you get good wages that are clearly defined up front, and you know you're going to get increases as you progress. Next slide. To be an apprentice in Vermont and pretty much across the country, you have to be at least 16 years old. You have to be a part or full-time employee of the business. You can be a part-time student. A lot of students go out and do co-ops in the afternoons or a couple days a week. You receive a paycheck and you're able to increase your skills as you're going through the on-the-job learning process. Whatever you learn, you're going to take that with you all the time. Next slide. Yep. To be a pre-apprentice, same as a registered apprentice, you have to be at least 16 years old. And the path that you're taking, it has to be connected to an apprenticeship opportunity. That means that if you decided that you wanted to be a mechanic and we did not have a registered program in Vermont for a mechanic, we would not do a pre-apprenticeship. You might do some other method of a co-op or what have you, but if we don't have a registered program that's going to not necessarily take you, but we have to have a path for you to take so that you can get that full apprenticeship opportunity. And the person is typically a full-time student and a part-time employee of the business that you are employed at, and you're paid if you're working. We use the term journey worker frequently in Vermont and all across registered apprenticeship. With a journey worker, you have to be fully competent to perform the work, trade, craft, or occupation. You can be a mentor in some occupations, that's what we refer them to, a specialist or another type of skilled worker. When you do set up for a registered apprenticeship program, there has to be somebody that is considered fully competent, trade qualified, journey worker, somebody with the skills necessary so that you can be successful in that occupation, has to be supervising your work. Next slide. With registered apprenticeship, you have to have a minimum of 144 hours a year of related instruction. Some of it, especially this year, we're doing lots of online classes through VTC, CCV, other training entities that are out there. Of course, in the years past, it was more classroom oriented, but where we are right now, that's not happening. So, and also you can do in-house training. So if there's somebody at that business that's qualified to teach you the book learning, the related instruction piece, they can also do that. We like to see if the apprentice is eligible for WIOA funding in some capacity. People can apply to VSAC for an advancement grant. That's very important. Many times the employer funds the related instruction, and on occasion the trainee funds them as well. For example, plumber, the employer pays for the classes and maybe the apprentice buys the book. So in some capacity, everybody's contributing. That's not always the case though. And if we have grants that are available, which we've had a lot of grants come to the Vermont Department of Labor for registered apprenticeship, we look to see if we can do something with that as well. Trainees, anytime you are working in the job, learning what goes on in the job, learning the skills, you're going to benefit because you've got increased skills. That makes you so much more employable. You earn and learn, so you are not, you have a paycheck, and that's very important to everybody. And higher wages. If you're a registered apprentice, we have it laid out, the employer has to sign off and agree that there's a progression of wages so that as you learn, you're going to earn more. And the mentor provides a support while you learn. That's really important to have. And you have some job security because you're learning skills, you're learning the related instruction. An employer is going to think twice when somebody is doing that because you're given some of your own time to the job with the related instruction. So it gives the employer a good feeling about how successful you are going to be. Are you going to be a good long-term employee for them? That's really important. Safer workplace. That's really one of the things we always strive for. We require that all registered apprentices complete VOSHA training or another type of training that may be more beneficial to the occupation that you're in. We also do diversity and harassment prevention training, which has been really successful in Vermont. We were one of the first states to implement that. And with a registered apprenticeship, you get a national credential. It's not just recognized in the state, but every state in the US and our territories have a registered apprenticeship program. So for example, let's say someone has completed an electrical apprenticeship, they test for the journey worker's license and they go to New York. Well, they go to New York and they say, hey, I have a Vermont electrician's license. And they'll say, so? But they'll say, did you ever complete an apprenticeship? Because with registered apprenticeship, everybody has the basic layout the same. So a certificate of completion is what opens the doors for you down the road. And that's really important for people to consider. Some employers, you might say, I don't know why they'd want to do this. Why would they want to participate in this? It helps with their recruiting for employees. That's a real good benefit. We all know the cost of onboarding someone new, and if you're constantly doing that, you're not being productive. You're spending more time on something that if you started out right the first time, you'd have better success. We get a more diverse workforce. We encourage employers to recruit from different places, such as Vermont Works for Women, refugee resettlement, different workforce to bring in to the business. And like I said, reduce turnover costs. That's really huge. And also, when you properly train an apprentice, you'll find that they produce more and you have fewer accidents. Higher productivity certainly means more money for the employer, and fewer accidents means your workers' comp rates can go down. Also, with a registered apprenticeship, you have connections to training funds, and that's very important. For one of the slides, we talked about the different opportunities that someone might be able to access to tap into those funds. And it helps you sit with the employer, or we do, and it gives you a formalized approach that how you're going to train the person. Everybody agrees on that, and it helps to enhance existing business practices. It's a win-win for everybody. And nationally, employers realize an average return on investment of $1.47 for every dollar invested. That's pretty powerful right there. So that's a really good selling point for employers, for us to work with employers. In Vermont, we annually serve approximately 2,000 apprentices each year. We've grown considerably. Every state has grown considerably, which is very awesome. Apprentices have a wage increase over the length of their apprenticeship. It averages around 25% of what you start out and what you end at. Vermont has apprenticeships in over 38 different occupations. We're always looking to grow more. Always, when we look to grow more occupations, you have to have the employer buy-in, because this is really an employer-driven program. Industries such as construction have always been the backbone of apprenticeship. That includes electrical, plumbing, line maintainer, and HVAC, just to name a few. More recently, we have partnered with CCV and BTC to include an LPN apprenticeship, pharmacy tech, medical assistant. We've got a bookkeeping apprenticeship coming up. We've done emergency technician and advanced manufacturing. Those are pretty awesome to be able to add those, and it's with our partnerships with the colleges that have really helped us grow those.
Am I just going right into my slide? This is Tracy.
Yeah, Tracy, sorry.
No, that's okay.
I'll turn it over to you at this point to talk about the Vermont Youth Employment Program.
Okay, thank you, Rich. Thanks, Judy. Great job.
Thank you, Tracy.
So I'm just going to take a few minutes just to give you a brief overview of the Vermont Youth Employment Program. Anytime you hear the word, you're probably used to hearing WYOA funding through the Department of Labor. WYOA funding is actually just a part of the Vermont Youth Employment Program. We're really trying to send a new message that the Department of Labor is here to help all youth ages between the ages of 14 and 24. And they could be WYOA eligible, they may be non-WYOA eligible, but we want folks to know that we are here to assist with skill development and work experience opportunities and connecting with employers, whether it be in person or virtually, for the Vermont Youth Employment Program. So anytime you hear VYEP or Vermont Youth Employment Program, it is the new message that the Department of Labor is trying to send. And go ahead with the next slide, Rich. So just to talk about some earn and learn opportunities through the Vermont Department of Labor for VYEP. You've probably heard a lot about the 14 program elements, which is all the services that we do offer our youth. So just to mention some of them, we do career pathways exploration with the youth. We discover their interests, so we do a series of assessments to be sure that we talk about what they might be interested in and match those interests to employment career pathways. We assist with overcoming challenges by offering support services, by offering our case management services and developing strategies with the youth that we work with so that they'll be successful in the career pathway that they choose. Develop workplace skills that happens through a series of different opportunities. For instance, a paid work experience where we will partner with a employer, and it's basically a paid internship, and we pay minimum wage, and we also cover the workers' comp while they're able to develop and improve their soft skills and basic work skills. We also have an on-the-job training program, which is a negotiation between the employer and the Department of Labor, and involves a reimbursement of wages for a certain amount of time that it would take to kind of fill the gap as to where the youth is and where the youth needs to be in order to be hired. As if they were walking off the street. The on-the-job training is they are always hired by the employer. So it is just a reimbursement program. You've heard about the wonderful apprenticeship program that we have at the Department of Labor, so I don't need to go into that. And then educational opportunities. So we're always, we want to make sure that we're giving our youth the best opportunity to be hired and to grow within the career path that they have chosen. So it's not just about work experience, it's about all the educational opportunities and skills development that they may need. Education also involves high school diplomas and GEDs. So just that well-rounded resume. So when they're done working with us, they're well on their way to their career goals.
Awesome. Thank you, Tracy. It just occurred to me that folks may want to get some follow-up information on some of these programs like VYEP from Tracy,
Yes,
or registered apprenticeships from Judy. So I just wanted to mention that on our last slide, we'll have our contact information for each of the presenters as well. All right, so I'm going to shift now to a couple of other earn and learn opportunities that are sort of newer for some of us. So at Voc Rehab Vermont, we're looking for ways to partner with organizations to really develop more of these options for young people. So one of those is Resources Construction 101 program. This is a program they've run a number of different sessions on already, and we are partnering specifically with Resource to run one for VR youth beginning in January. So we'll be sharing some more information about that as it comes up. But Construction 101 basically is a 6-week paid training opportunity. And there are a few different components to that. So one is this skills course that's roughly 4 weeks long that includes very specific carpentry, construction, and employability skills that are built into it. These are, by the way, in-person opportunities. It's pretty hard to learn construction skills virtually. So this is on-site learning. Participants have the opportunity to earn NCCER, Orcraft, and OSHA 10 workplace safety certifications. And NCCR, I believe, is National Construction Council, something or other. Judy, you might know that one. I'm not sure. I don't remember.
National Craft Career Education Resource, I believe.
Okay.
But that's a good guess.
All right. Sounds good to me. In any case, there is a industry recognized credential, most importantly, from the construction industry that comes along with that. They have a personal and professional development course that is also integrated into the training, and it's about increasing job seeking and retention skills. And then the last couple of weeks of the program are actual placements with partner employers for the individuals to get work experience. And what I will say also is that most Construction 101 participants have had a paid job at the end of this experience. So Resource works closely with employers to try to get that as an outcome. And one other that I want to mention that we're very excited about at Voc Rehab is called the Harbor Freight Fellows Program. And Harbor Freight is, for folks who may not be familiar, is a national primarily construction and manufacturing tool distributor. So they have stores and operations throughout the country. And they are really wanting to encourage more young people to consider the trades as an occupation. In many cases, like the construction industry, it's an aging population. There's lots of opportunity for young people to come into it, and they're having a hard time attracting young people in some cases. So Harbor Freight wants to encourage more young people to think about that. So they offer 120-hour, what they call apprenticeships with community employers. And they've identified 22 different occupational areas where they have supported Harbor Freight Fellows. So it's mechanical trades, building trades, and they're open to other possibilities. It's particularly designed for high school students who have a clear occupational interest. So this isn't a general career exploration type of program. They're looking for students who know kind of where they want to go occupationally, and this is an opportunity for them to find out more. And they get a $1,000 stipend for completing 120 hours of this apprenticeship experience. The VOC Rehab has established a partnership with Harbor Freight Fellows. We're looking to pilot over the next several months, enrolling Harbor Freight Fellows through 5 of our district offices. We're excited about getting that program launched. And I am now going to turn it over to Nat Piper to talk about putting some of this stuff together.
Thanks, Rich. So good morning, everyone. You've heard an awful lot of opportunity, resources, and connections. And as a core team, you serve a very diverse population. So there's literally a system of opportunity here. There's a system that we can use to collaborate, share ideas, opportunities, work together in terms of business outreach, all of those good things. So the collaborative venues, if you will, of where that can take place, clearly the state core team, which includes members of VOC Rehab, Labor, Agency of Ed, the VFN, CCV, many others. There's so many diverse stakeholders at the core team. And then on the statewide level, then it's broken down into your local core teams, which again is another diverse subset of team. I had the pleasure of being on the Barry Montpelier team for quite some time, and it's amazing the individuals that come to the table with all the skills, knowledge, and opportunities, and individuals that they serve. You have your district creative workforce solutions team, CWS. Each CWS district has a business account manager, and I would strongly recommend, if you don't know who they are, please let me know. My contact info will be towards the end. We can send out the link as well, because each BAM, business account manager, would love to support the efforts of the core team. I can assure you of that. State apprenticeship team. There is a state apprenticeship team. I believe my friend Hugh Bradshaw is on this meeting today, and Rich, several other stakeholders are getting together. BTC, CCV, the Agency of Commerce and Community Development. There he is. Hey, Hugh, good morning. Agency of Commerce and Community Development, of course, Department of Labor, are working on this to try to develop more robust apprenticeship opportunities and the pipeline to get into those. We have a VOC Rehab Youth Apprenticeship Group, and I would definitely open it up. If there are others that we have missed here, please don't be bashful. Please let us know. It's okay. Sorry, our chat's not working today, I don't think. So that's okay. I can see it, but I can't participate. But if you have questions, we're going to have our info comments later. And so the other thing is we have a little bit of time. We've got till 10:30. And I'm curious if anyone has any thoughts about, this is all about earn and learn, right? Apprenticeship is a chunk of it. Internships is a chunk of it. The Harbor Freight piece we're really excited about with 120 hours, you know. So there's these earn and learn opportunities of getting people engaged with employers. And the precursor of that, how do we introduce youth into these earn and learn opportunities? And then, so I'm looking for examples, certainly. And then, is there a wish list? Is there the magic wands? What would you like to see happening in your district or region? We can certainly open that up to the group, and feel free to chime in.
And I'm not quite sure why our chat is disabled for this session, Nat, but we would invite folks to just unmute and step up and let us know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, thanks, Rich.
I have students who are interested in various types of cosmetology related programs and a lot of computer, like cybersecurity and programming type work. And so opportunities in those two areas would be really great.
And by the way, I invite you to introduce yourself when you come on in case we don't see you.
Alyssa Whitney, transition counselor from Burlington.
Yeah, thanks, Alyssa.
This is Judy. If I could say, we have always looked at doing a cosmetology apprenticeship program. Our problem with that in Vermont is you're not an employee of the business. You have to be on the business's payroll. So that's always been an issue. If you could set it up at, let's say, a JCPenney, where they would put you on as an employee at the salon, we could always do a registered apprenticeship with that. And if you go to the Secretary of State's website, they have some guidance for their apprenticeship. It's not a registered apprenticeship, but I have had folks that have gone, found a salon that says, hey, I'll help train you. And maybe they don't get all their related instruction, but they're going to meet more of the guidelines for a license in Vermont because they'll have some on-the-job experience already. And I've seen folks that at the tech centers, they do the cosmetology program and then they go to one of the schools and maybe instead of doing 9 months, they're doing 5 months. So they save money that way. I noticed that Riverbend in Bradford is doing a cybersecurity class, which is pretty awesome. Everybody is very interested in cybersecurity, and it's something that we would like to do as a registered apprenticeship as well.
Thanks, Judy.
It looks like we have chat back as well for those that would prefer to use the chat function. Nicole I bow to Nicole and your genius. Thank you.
So this is you. I'm going to go ahead and speak up. And one of the things that I always worry about is, we go out and we find a whole bunch of employers who say yes, and then we don't have individuals who are willing to go and do those experiences. So I think part of this conversation is also, how do we market this to families so that families understand these opportunities, that they know that these exist and that they're available for their students? I think there's a marketing angle here that we have to think about, because there's nothing worse than getting an employer to get excited about doing this and then having us say, well, sorry, we don't really have someone. So I just want to make sure we hold that piece, because I think it's an important piece in any of these conversations.
Yeah, Hugh, I agree with you, and I would reference, for example, an event that happened very recently. An organization called Vicarious Visions did an info session in conjunction with, I think it was Wendy Cowett's team down in Bennington that got the ball rolling, but it was open to, it's a virtual session, so it was open to a lot of people. And it's interesting, I know oftentimes we invite the students, that we're working with, hey, come to the session. That may be an opportunity to also engage with some of the parents and say, it's a virtual session, pop in. Some students, I'm interested in the group's thought of what a student's comfort level would be with having a mom, dad, uncle, whoever is, whoever they're living with to be part of that. But on the flip side, I think it gives the parent maybe a comfort level that this is a real thing and it's out there and there is a process. I'm interested in people's thoughts.
Can I just add to that also, Nat, that
yeah,
Hugh, I think that's a really important point. And, if the Department of Labor, for example, is getting information from employers who are interested in hosting a registered apprenticeship, it'd be great to share that information with the business account managers, with the BAMs, and the local core teams, which are usually facilitated by a transition counselor. But we could certainly, share that information back. And if our business account managers are hearing directly from employers, we want to make sure that we share that information back out to you as well. So thanks for bringing that up.
And the chat is active. This is good. So we have a couple of things. We have a question from Todd Grattan, business account manager in St. Johnsbury. Speaking of employers, are there any support for the employer while they are engaging with a registered apprenticeship, help with paperwork, getting through all the regulations, etc.? And we have a couple of other follow-ups, but anyone care to address Todd's initial question?
Sure, this is Judy. As far as supports for their employers, we always work with an employer to get the paperwork processed. We sit down together. Let's say we're developing a new apprenticeship program. We're going to sit down with that employer. We're going to go over what needs to be done for paperwork. It's not cumbersome with the paperwork, and actually the regulations, they're very easy to navigate, but that's what we're here for, to help the employers get through everything and answer everyone's questions.
Thank you, Judy. And Todd, I would also suggest that Rich and I are working on some supports for the business account managers too around that very process, what we can provide for our business customer. So thank you. We have a comment from Alyssa Whitney saying that the info session with parents may help. Students aren't used to making many of the decisions on their own yet, and a lot of mine find comfort sharing the information with their parents or caretakers. Thanks, Alyssa. Carrie Ballou, Judy, can you talk about Apprenticeship Week coming up?
I certainly can.
Beautiful.
National Apprenticeship Week is coming up the week of Veterans Day. It's in that week where every state celebrates the value of registered apprenticeship. In the past, we have done some pretty awesome things. We've had Governor Scott do his press conference last year at Benoit Electric in Barrie, and we had apprentices speak. That was pretty cool. The governor signed the proclamation for Vermont that he's recognized in National Apprenticeship Week, so we get some press, and then we get a lot of phone calls about what's going on with things. Parents will call. I was telling someone the other day that I always can count on getting a lot of calls or emails at Christmas and Thanksgiving, because parents are sitting around saying, you got to do something. So they start researching opportunities. But National Apprenticeship Week is pretty awesome this year. It's going to be virtual, but we've got some good ideas, and you'll see a lot of it on our Facebook page.
Awesome. Thank you. We have about 7 minutes left. We have a couple more questions. Bobby has asked, is there a flow chart or a checklist type of tool to help guide a student and teacher/advisor through connecting to the process?
If it's for registered apprenticeship, I have some guides. A lot of times it's just as easy to sit down and talk, but we can look at doing a flow chart too. Tracy and I probably could do that with you folks, Rich and Nat, and go from there.
Okay, beautiful. And also from Liam, in terms of marketing the opportunities, I think it's also important to engage with the high schools. This is an interesting point because it's not lost, I don't think, on anyone on this call or in the whole core team event that there's a lot of, with COVID, it didn't get any easier, but there's always been a lot of tugs on a school day. And it would be interesting to figure out what the most effective way of marketing and engagement with the high schools might be. There's a lot of different venues there. And so I do not have an easy answer. I wish I did, but.
This is Judy again. I know I have been contacted by high schools and tech centers and our apprenticeship staff, and we're happy to go to career days. We're happy to go speak to groups of students or one student. A lot of the tech centers are really connecting more with registered apprenticeship and want to explore those opportunities. So they've been reaching out to us quite a bit, and that's, I think, very helpful.
Yeah, thanks, Judy. And I think I would add to that, Nat, that as we think about this at VOC Rehab, it'd be good for us to put together some training for our transition counselors, our youth employment specialists, and career consultants, so that they have more information as they're working with schools to share about what these opportunities are and how they can get engaged in their areas. So that's something for us to think about. Thanks.
Yeah. And from my friend Carrie Ballou. Carrie, good to hear from you. Hashtag hiring 2-day VT is VDOL's weekly virtual statewide job fair. I have been to them. They are wonderful. And there is an opportunity to engage with employers live. And they are also working, I believe, on recording certain portions. But the events themselves are very easy to get to and access. And you can just go to the Vermont Department of Labor homepage. And I don't remember the link. I apologize to my friends at Labor. Just Google up Vermont Department of Labor. I promise it'll get you there. And those employer events are quite well done. We are down to about 4 minutes left. Oh, Elizabeth Bull.
I think Kinsey has something
Oh, okay.
wants to share.
Kinsley, sorry. Thank you.
That's okay. I've been trying to jump in as you guys were talking about marketing and engaging youth. One of the things that I've been thinking about is the utilization of our WIOA work experience programs and how it's really difficult as a case manager to be overseeing multiple different sites and engaging all of those youth in a really equal way with different employers. And one of the things that I wonder is, could we utilize our youth and actually engage them in digging into some LMI? I just really think if we can teach youth how to do labor market research, how to make connections with employers, how to ask the questions of employers, what do you look for in a candidate? What opportunities exist in your business? You know, if we as the case managers can teach youth to do that, and we can actually engage them in maybe some film recording and working with Google Analytics to support businesses in better communicating their branding and better talking about getting over the threshold and working for their company, I think that would be phenomenal. Paid work experiences that support businesses in marketing and that support youth in really helping other youth to understand, how do you get into that opportunity? If a youth can describe it, it's going to be really easy for other people to understand.
That's excellent. Thank you very much. And Rich, before we move to the final, here's our contact info. Just a couple more messages coming through from Elizabeth Bull. And I'm not super fluent with Zoom, but I think when people have put stuff in chat and we're recording it, you'll have access to the chat transcript after as well. But Elizabeth Bull has got her contact info in there if you're working with a student youth, deaf, ASL signing, or has a hearing loss. She's happy to be part of the accommodation process, and she's at elizabeth.bull@vermont.gov. So she'd be more than happy to connect. Carrie has put the link in for labor. Thank you, Carrie. And Bobby, how does problem solving happen between the employer and student? Are there videos or presentations or successful experiences to share student to student? I must say, we're running really short on time, but there is about a minute left, minute and a half, if anyone wants to quickly address that. And if not, we can follow back with you, Bobby, to give some time to think about it.
This is Hugh. The one thing I would suggest, apprenticeship.gov is the national apprenticeship site. There's a lot of pretty cool videos on there about apprenticeship and about learning experiences. That might be a good starting place.
Thanks, Hugh.
All right, we've put up our contact information here. If anybody wants to follow up with any of us about something that's been brought up today, please, we'd be happy to hear from you. And as Nat had mentioned, this session will be recorded also for folks who may not have been able to join us today. So I think with that, we can say thank you so much for joining us for this session. And I believe there's a little bit of a break between this and the next workshop session. Not sure if Nicole is still here with any instructions. I think
Yes, there's a 10-minute break before you go to your next workshop.
okay, thanks, Nicole. And people should have the links already for those workshop sessions, correct?
Yes, it should be in your email.
Okay. All right, excellent. Thanks again, everybody. We'll see you back in the whole group session later.
Thank you.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Carol, thanks.
We're going to go ahead and get started. Might have a few more people joining us as we go. But I'll just say hello. My name is Rich Tulikangas. I'm the Director of Linking Learning to Careers at VOC Rehab, Vermont. And we have a PowerPoint we're going to walk through with you for this session. So I'm going to go ahead and share that. So hopefully on your screens, somebody want to give me a thumbs up if you can see apprenticeship and other earn and learn opportunities for students and youth. All right,
Yes.
thank you.
Yep.
All right, great. Well, welcome everybody. We're glad to have you on board. So I'm going to jump right in here and talk about what our objectives are for this session. So we want to do a little bit of defining of what we mean by different earn and learn options for youth, which is a broad term we use for a variety of experiences. We'll talk more specifically about pre-apprenticeship and registered apprenticeship in Vermont. Provide a little information also about the Vermont Youth Employment Program. We'll talk about some new and emerging opportunities that are coming up that we're excited about. And we'll discuss some ideas for building a coordinated and comprehensive system. How do we pull all of these things together? And in that context, we'll ask for any ideas, thoughts, examples that all of you have to share as well. So this is who's here, and I'm going to ask my co-presenters to introduce themselves. Judy?
Good morning. This is Judy Forbo. I'm the Apprenticeship Program Supervisor with the Vermont Department of Labor.
Awesome. Thanks, Judy. Tracy?
Hi, I'm Tracy Verge from the Vermont Department of Labor. I am the VDOL Program Administrator, and I oversee the Youth, Adult, and Dislocated Worker programs.
All right, thanks. And Nat?
Hi, good morning. I'm Nat Piper with VOC Rehab Vermont. I'm the Business, Legislative, and Community Relations Manager, and primarily for this conversation, I oversee the Creative Workforce Solutions Employment Initiative around the state. Good morning.
All right. And again, I'm Rich Tulikangas, Director of Linking Learning to Careers at VOC Rehab, and also helping to coordinate some of our new youth apprenticeship type opportunities and oversee some of our progressive education efforts. So we wanted to spend a little bit of time on definitions. I know this is a lot of words on a slide, so I apologize for that up front. But just to develop a little common understanding. So again, earn and learn is a broad term we use for a number of different types of experiences that youth may have that combine basically training or educational experiences with actual compensation. So it might be a stipend, it might be an actual wage, but when those two things are put together in looking at particular occupational training, that's what we call broadly earn and learn. Pre-apprenticeship is a more specific career training opportunity, includes both basic skills and job readiness skills, and helps an individual prepare for a registered apprenticeship. So these experiences help students to earn credits that are applied then towards completion of a registered apprenticeship if they go on to that. And registered apprenticeships are formally a program of the U.S. Department of Labor. In Vermont, they're managed by the Vermont Department of Labor. And they essentially connect job seekers with employers who are looking for qualified workers. So the employers basically sponsor apprentices with paid opportunities to learn a particular trade and get paid while they're doing it. So there's this aspect of all registered apprenticeships, which is called related technical instruction. So this instruction is in addition to what their job is on site, can be delivered in a variety of formats or classes. And in Vermont, a lot of the related instruction is developed and provided by Community College of Vermont or Vermont Technical College. So with that, I am going to turn things over to Judy Borbeau to talk more specifically about registered apprenticeship.
Thanks, Rich, and welcome everybody. Registered apprenticeship has been around for hundreds of years. We all remember the blacksmiths where you went to learn how to be a blacksmith, and you lived with the blacksmith and his family, and they fed and clothed you. You didn't get paid. Well, we've grown. You do get paid in a registered apprenticeship program. There has to be an employer-employee relationship. So it's time proven. It's been around forever. It's not a learn and pray model. It's an earn and learn model. And it meets the employer's needs because they're the driving force behind a registered apprenticeship. If they did not have a need, they would not participate. And this program helps them get skilled labor and meets the workers' needs. They have a career pathway to advancement. They get clearly defined wage increases. And another thing with some of our registered apprenticeship programs, there are college credits associated with it, which is very beneficial to the apprentice. An apprentice, you have to be at least 16 years old. You have to be a part or full-time employee of that business. You can be a part-time student and working in an occupation and be an apprentice. You get a paycheck, which everybody wants, and increases your skills and makes you a better employee. If not for that employer that you may continue to work for, maybe you're going to go to a different one, but you have those skills that you've developed. And that's a great selling point. With pre-apprenticeship, you have to be 16 years old at least, has to be connected to an apprenticeship opportunity. For example, if we did not have, let's say, a line maintainer, the folks that work on our power lines, if we did not have a line maintainer registered apprenticeship program, we would not do a pre-apprenticeship for anyone because it has to have a career path. Does not mean that you have to go to that employer at the end of your pre-apprenticeship. It just means there has to be a place for you to go. So that can be a key piece sometimes. Usually a pre-apprentice is a full-time student and a part-time employee. I do want to mention that pre-apprenticeship can also be for an adult. Maybe they're looking for a new career, need to explore some other opportunities. So we also do them for adults. And if you're working, you're getting paid for your time. When we talk about registered apprenticeship, we always look to ensure that that employer has someone who's considered a journey worker. A journey worker is someone that's fully competent to perform the work, the trade craft or the occupation. They also can be referred to as a mentor, specialist, or another skilled worker. And when we look at setting up a registered apprenticeship, we have a conversation with that employer. Who's going to train this person? How are they going to be trained? We need to know those things and can work with them to give them guidance so everyone's successful. Always with registered apprenticeship, there has to be related instruction. That's a key component of this. It can be classroom, although this year we're not seeing a lot of classroom instruction. It's generally online and or in-house training. It has to be a minimum of 144 hours a year. And we are able to use the WIOA funding. If the person is eligible, we may encourage them to go to VSAC to apply for a non-degree grant. In some occupations, the employer funds the related technical instruction. In some, the trainee may fund it. And there may be grants available that we should explore when we're talking about a registered apprenticeship program. There's a lot of benefits to a trainee. It's really important for the apprentice to know what they're going to end up with. You increase your skills. You have a set learning plan that gives you the stepping stones to get to where you need to be at the end of the apprenticeship. Apprentices earn while they learn. There's always got to be an employer-employee relationship. You are an employee of the company. You're going to be treated the same as any other employee in that company. You have a wage scale that's developed at the start of the apprenticeship, where the employer agrees to give you increases as you learn skills and complete your training. You always have a mentor to provide your support and oversee the apprentice. Nobody's going to put someone out there and say, oh, here you go, you know, I'll see you when you clock out tonight. That's not the way it works. We have to have insurance that the apprentice is going to be able to be mentored. It also provides job security to apprentices. Those successful apprentices, you're going to be held, I don't want to say, I'm going to say, in higher regard sometimes by the employer because you have devoted some time, probably on your own time, to complete the related instruction. That's really important that you get the job security. We also ensure that all registered apprentices have a safe workplace. That means apprentices complete VOSHA training for a lot of the occupations, especially in any of the construction trades. We also look at we require all apprentices complete diversity awareness and harassment prevention, and we have had some really good workshops on that, and they're, I think, enjoyable for everybody, and that's something that's really critical because, as we know, not just the employer can be sued, but the employee can also be sued in the state of Vermont. So we want to make sure we cover those bases. And you get national credentials at the completion of your apprenticeship. That's really important. A national credential can open so many doors for you. We tell folks, always keep your certificate of completion for your registered apprenticeship. It's a document you're going to use in many different areas of your life. National credentials, let's say someone gets completes an apprenticeship in Vermont and they have an electrician's license. And you think, okay, great, I'm going to go to New York and work. And they say, hey, I've got a Vermont electrician's license, and New York's very different in how they look at things. Many states are. What they're going to look at is, did you ever complete a registered apprenticeship? Because that is something that's recognized across state lines in our territories. That's something that's really important to have. And I frequently get calls from people that say, hey, I completed apprenticeship in 1995, and now I'm here in California and I can get an upgrade in my job if I can prove I did a registered apprenticeship program. So just one of the little things we, deal with, but it's important to know that what you complete, it's always going to go with you. It's, like having that sheepskin. It's really important to help you move up in your career, and that's a lot of what folks want to be doing right now. The employers, a lot of them will say, what's in it for me? And you can't blame them. Employers, they get improved recruiting with a registered apprenticeship, more because it's nationally recognized. Also, another thing is if they hire a veteran can use their GI Bill to provide a monthly housing allowance while they're in a registered apprenticeship program. In Vermont, we do correctional officers and state troopers and police officers. Those are a lot of what we see for veterans that tap into their GI Bill. You also get a more diverse workforce. We work with that employer to look at different recruiting methods for them to broaden their workforce. And with registered apprenticeship, because it's a formalized training program, employers know what's required, the apprentices know what's required, you get reduced turnover costs. That can be really difficult for an employer who always has the turnover. Employees may not feel valued. And if someone's taken the time to properly train them, they feel better about it. And also a benefit to the employers, you have higher productivity, which is critical to their bottom line, and fewer accidents, because safety is paramount in all occupations. Also, you get connection to training funds for registered apprenticeship. And the employer is flexible. The program is flexible, We customize it to meet the employer's needs. What might work for one employer might not work for another. So we work with them to develop the right program. And it's really a formalized approach, and it helps enhance the business practices of the employers and has really helped them grow and succeed. And on average, employers get a return on investment of $1.47 for every dollar invested. And that's pretty powerful right there. In Vermont, we serve approximately 2,000 or more apprentices each year. That has grown considerably over the past years. Wage increases over the length of the apprenticeship average 25%. That's pretty amazing sometimes when you look at that, but you know you're going to get that. We currently have over 38 different occupations that are active in registered apprenticeship. You can go to our website and look at some of our data. Industries such as construction have always been the backbone of a registered apprenticeship program, and that includes electrical, plumbing, line maintainer, and HVAC, just to name a few. And more recently, we've partnered with BTC and CCV and added an LPN apprenticeship, pharmacy tech, medical assistant, bookkeeping, EMT, and advanced manufacturing. So that's pretty awesome that we have those other occupations, and we're all pretty proud of it right now.
Awesome. Thank you, Judy. So I'm going to turn it over now to Tracy Verge from the Department of Labor to talk a little bit about Vermont Youth Employment Program.
Thanks, Rich. Great job again, Judy.
Thank you, Tracy.
You're welcome. So the Vermont Youth Employment Program, or VYEP, most of you probably know it as WIOA. So the Department of Labor is trying to, I don't want to say reinvent, but send a different message as far as the Vermont Youth Employment Program. So anytime you hear that, we are talking about WIOA eligible youth or non-WIOA eligible youth. So we are talking about all youth ages 14 to 24 years of age. We're really looking to provide innovative and creative ways to engage youth with employers, whether or not they're eligible for funding services. We're looking to partner with the workforce to place individuals in work experiences and also provide them some skill development and education as far as depending on what career pathway they're looking for. You can go ahead to the next slide. Thank you. So VYEP opportunities. So these are just a few things that we want to mention. Exploration of career pathways. So the conversation always begins with the youth on, discovering where their interests are, what they're interested in doing, giving them the opportunity to try a few different work placements so that they can decide what they're really interested in. When they come to us, they may think, they're interested in something, but then when they go into a placement, they're not really interested in that anymore. So it really gives them the opportunity to explore different career pathways. Also, overcoming challenges. Our case managers work very closely with the youth to help them overcome any challenges that they may face in day-to-day operations of a work site or educational barriers that they may have. Anything to do with the youth that can assist them with overcoming any challenges that they may have for them to be successful in the workplace or in an educational program. So our main focus is work experiences or on-the-job training, trying to assist youth and employers to engage these youth into developing just some basic soft skills or basic workplace skills to help them find where their interests are, what their career pathway is, and hopefully be successful by the time they're done with the program. The paid work experiences where Department of Labor pays full wages. We pay minimum wage, and we also cover the workers' compensation. Basically, it's a paid internship. On-the-job training is where an employer is actually the employer that's paying the wages, but we may negotiate, or we will negotiate with the employer to reimburse them for some for the hours, contract hours that we come up with for a certain percentage of the wages, so that'll give time for the employer and the participant or candidate to reach the level of skills that they need to go on their own. Apprenticeship, Judy has already spoken about that, but we do work closely with the apprenticeship program and supporting that program. And then educational opportunities. We want to make sure that by the time the youth is done with the program, that we are giving them all the opportunities they need to build a really strong resume. And that includes, successfully completing their high school diploma or GED, or possibly occupational skills training. So just a well-rounded resume when they're done with the program. And then we do follow up with the youth for up to a year after exit, just to make sure that everything's going okay. And then putting supports in place as well throughout that time.
Awesome. Thank you, Tracy. I just wanted to mention also that on our last slide, we will have contact information for each of our presenters, so that if someone wanted to find out more, for example, about Vermont Youth Employment Program from Tracy, you'll have her information. More about registered apprenticeship, you'll have Judy's information, and so forth. So I'm going to switch now to talk a little bit about some newer earn and learn opportunities that VOC Rehab has gotten very engaged with, and that we're very excited about. So some of you may know Resource as a nonprofit organization in Vermont. They operate actually in 4 locations around the state and do some programming in other parts of the state as well. But they've developed a program called Construction 101, and we're excited to partner with Resource to offer a Construction 101 session beginning in January, specific for VOC Rehab youth. And basically the program consists of 6 weeks of paid training. So individuals participating get a stipend for each week that they're in the program. And 4 weeks of that is really focused on carpentry, construction, and employability skills that are part of a course. And I should mention that this is also an on-site program offering. Pretty tough to teach carpentry skills, for example, virtually. So people are brought together for this offering. And they also can earn, or will earn, certifications. So there's an NCCER, which is a national construction industry recognized credential, and OSHA 10 workplace safety certification as well for completing the program. They also integrate a personal and professional development course, and that's all about you working on their job seeking and retention skills. So that's integrated with their technical skills. They want to be able to help individuals make sure they know how to find jobs and stay on those jobs. And then the last 2 weeks of the program are actually a work experience placement with partner employers. So Resource works to build partnerships with a number of construction companies that are interested in developing new employees, and build partnerships for those 2-week experiences. Very frequently, at the program conclusion, participants are offered paid employment to stay with those employers. So it's very exciting. We're looking to start with one pilot program and very likely expand to other parts of the state. This one will be in Burlington, but we're looking to partner with Resource on a number of these opportunities, hopefully going forward. So another that we're very excited about is the Harbor Freight Fellows Program. And in this case, if folks aren't familiar with Harbor Freight, they are a construction and manufacturing tools distributor. They have stores and operations all over the country. Harbor Freight has a couple of stores in Vermont. But in any case, they're very interested in really encouraging young people to move into the trades and prepare effectively to do that. So they offer 120-hour apprenticeships with community employers, and those are paid opportunities. So if a student completes those 120 hours, they earn a $1,000 stipend, which is pretty exciting and certainly a motivator. There are placements in lots of different trade areas. Harbor Freight has identified 22 different occupational areas that they have supported fellows in so far. They're open to other possibilities that might be proposed. And it is very specific to high school students that clearly have an identified occupation that they want to go into. So this is not a general career exploration type of program. They're looking to support students who, again, say, I know that, you know, I want to be a carpenter, for example, or I want to be an auto mechanic, so that this this fellowship can really help them move forward in that direction. So VOC Rehab has developed a partnership with Harbor Freight, and we have 5 of our district offices at this point who have agreed to recruit Harbor Freight fellows, high school students who are ready to take advantage of this opportunity over the next several months, and very possibly we'll be expanding the program beyond that. But it's very cool, and we're excited to be able to offer this opportunity. All right, at this point, I am going to turn it over to Nat Piper to talk about how we think about and put together some of these opportunities into more of a systemic approach.
Thanks, Rich. Good morning. I like the way you put it very early on, that how do we connect these dots, right? And I want to thank everybody. The chat box has been very busy with questions, and I promise we'll get to those super quick through this slide. So in terms of collaborating, we have the state core team. The state core team consists of VOC Rehab, Department of Labor, Agency of Ed, BFN, Vermont Family Network, CCV, and many others, of course. Where the rubber meets the road is at the local level, the local core team. And those local core teams, I had the pleasure of being part of the Barre Montpelier team. That's where there's very diverse stakeholders. There's a lot of caseloads. There's an opportunity to collaborate. The business account manager can get to that collaboration point with you. The core team, I just love going to that event and those meetings, because that's truly where the ideas, the brainstorming can take place at the very regional level, right? You have your district creative workforce solutions team. Every district has one. Every district has a business account manager. I'll gladly put the link to who they are in the chat box, so that you can, if you don't know who they are, please reach out. They'd love to hear from you. BAMs are attending this event today, and they will be joining their local core team breakout at 11:30. So very happy to help you there. There's a state apprenticeship team that Rich is on, a gentleman named Hugh Bradshaw, Judy, folks from CCV, Commerce Community Development, VTC, yours truly. We're on it, working on a system to help in terms of not only expanding the apprenticeship, but also, you know, the processes around the existing apprenticeships, how to make it streamlined, how to make it easy, right? And then there are VOC Rehab Youth Apprenticeship Group that Rich and I also sit on to help serve those customers served by VOC Rehab. And I'm sure I'm missing many. There are other collaborative efforts, but that's kind of the system and how we connect the dots. Rich, if we could move on to some of the questions, that would be wonderful, because there's a bunch in here, and they're good ones. They're real good ones. So thanks again. So
Yes.
The first question was from Jesse, and it was a question around, do you have a running list of all the employers willing to participate in both pre-apprenticeships and apprenticeships? There is a PDF on the VDOL website. I'll defer to Judy as far as if she wants me. I have a copy of that link I can put in. Judy, is that something?
Yeah, that would be great to put that link in there.
Yeah.
There are, there's a number of occupations that are not active in there. And right now in Vermont, we have over 38 different occupations that are active. We also can develop new apprenticeship programs. So if you run across an employer with a need, we can talk and see if it can be something that could be apprenticed.
Right.
One thing I want to make clear is an apprenticeship program has to involve a minimum of 2,000 hours of on-the-job learning and a minimum of 144 hours of related instruction.
And that, I'm going to dovetail that onto a question from Emily Shields. Emily, great to have you in the sessions. Good to see you and all of that. When you're talking about the support of consumers, locating employers, the related training that isn't listed on the VDOL apprenticeship sponsors PDF, that is actually work that's going on in process with the aforementioned apprenticeship group and VR youth apprenticeship group. One of the ways that we can get people connected, if you don't see something on the list, you can certainly talk to your business account manager. You can definitely get connected. Your BAM can help you get connected to people in your district VDOL office. You can go straight to VDOL. All of our contact information will be on the final slide. You can reach out to any one of us. As you know, the business account managers are in the field daily in a virtual environment now, but they are connecting with businesses and creating relationships. They're networking with their VDOL partners around if a business expresses a desire about apprenticeships, or if we have someone that may be interested in an apprenticeable occupation. The list is very robust of already existing registered apprenticeships. So that may be a good way for you to get connected. Rich, Judy, Tracy, any other thoughts about that?
No, I think you covered it, Matt, for me.
Okay. What we're talking about here, guys, is the bottom line is on all of this stuff. You see all the stakeholders on the previous slide. It's about relationships. It's why the core teams were created, right? Was to get relationships with each other and say who can do what when. So I'm going to zip back to a couple of the other questions. So Emily's question is, is just wonderful about how, if someone's not, if it's not electrical, if it's not Benoit Electric, what do we do? I would suggest starting with your BAM and also the BAM, and maybe in conjunction with an individual at labor. And you could even start as simple as the BAM and Ben Judy over at the Department of Labor in Barrie. There's more to come on that, however. Let's go back to, here's one from Kathy. Judy, you mentioned using VSAC funding for apprenticeship grants. However, in-school youth are not eligible for VSAC grants. Were you referring to high school graduates?
Yes, more with high school graduates, but Tracy may have other opportunities for folks to get some funding.
Right. All righty. Is Tracy still with us? Okay.
Yeah, as far as WIOA funding, but we also do have some state funding that you don't necessarily have to be WIOA eligible. So I would encourage you, if you have a participant that you're interested in funding, definitely reach out to your local case managers or VDOL office and have a conversation with them. I would encourage anybody that if you have anybody you want to speak with, about or just talk about the scenario, definitely reach out to your VDOL staff.
Thank you. From Kathy. This is an interesting question. A Vermont apprenticeship program working on welding apprenticeships in the Rutland area. We currently have no employers willing to open their doors to youth for registered apprenticeships, which I'm sorry to hear about that. But again, I know Chris Pascu is the BAM down in Rutland. He has wonderful connections. That may be an interesting conversation with him about, hey, do you know of employers that A, need welders or currently have welders and are looking to hire and perhaps entertain apprenticeships? I'd definitely start with Chris. Is an excellent place to start there. He's connected for sure. And then Tracy, what percentage of VYEP funding is available to in-school youth as opposed to high school graduates?
So the Vermont Youth Employment Program is still under as far as the WIOA portion, is still under the 25% of in-school youth and 75% out-of-school youth. Like I had said, we do have some additional funding. So I would really encourage you, the message that we are giving our staff right now is to have a yes, how attitude. So we want to make sure that we're having conversations in school youth, out of school youth, all youth. And we really want to work with partners to try to figure out how to get that individual, successfully reaching their goals. So it may not always be a yes, but there may be ways that we're really trying to be more creative going forward, especially in the virtual world. So definitely have that conversation with your local person.
Thank you, thank you. A couple that, Rich, these might be land on your plate. From Lynn, where is Construction 101 located? I believe it's starting in Burlington, but is there potential to expand it out?
Yeah, so this particular session that VR is partnering with beginning in January is in Burlington. However, Resource has facilities in Burlington, Williston, Hyde Park, and Barrie, I believe,
Right.
at this point in time. But they are open to, if there's a cohort of individuals who are interested in, participating in a 101 program somewhere else in the state, they will work with the local partners to try to develop that, identify potential instructors that can offer the course and so forth. So I would anticipate that we're going to be seeing this offered in additional areas around the state.
And Rich, would it be appropriate for them to reach out to you in terms of if they felt a cohort could be put together? Would you be able to liaison that with Resource?
Yes, yep, indeed.
Excellent. This one's also from Kathy. Can the 144 hours of related instruction for an apprenticeship, and this may refer to Harbor Freight, I'm not sure, would that include a high school tech program such as Stafford Tech down in Rutland?
I think this is a Judy question.
Okay.
Yes, we can look at students at Hartford Tech, Stafford Tech, any of the tech centers. Frequently, in some trades, we have students, especially in electrical and plumbing, they're taking classes while they're in high school, and we allow them to take the level 1 exam for their occupation, and then they can get a jump up on everybody, and they start in level 2, which reduces the cost to the employers and helps solidify that everyone knows that this person is very interested in being successful.
Thank you, Judy. From Peter, just to clarify, the 2,000 hours applies to who? Does that apply to all apprenticeships?
Yes, it has to be a minimum of 2,000 hours. That's a state requirement, that's a federal requirement. So a minimum of 2,000 hours, which let's say sometimes weatherization might be a good one that, yes, we should do a registered apprenticeship in weatherization, but you might learn that in 6 months. So that wouldn't be a registered apprenticeship we would look at. So it has to be a minimum of 2,000 hours on the job learning.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for all the questions. Just while we have a little bit of time left, one of the focuses of this slide was what we're really talking about. Apprenticeships is definitely a piece of the conversation for sure. But in the broader context, we're talking about earn and learn opportunities. There are many different ways to earn while you learn, right? From a paid internship to a formal apprenticeship. I would also suggest that prior to any of those activities, there's numerous ways to do career exploration to make sure that, well, an individual is thinking about these things. How do we gain, for an individual that we serve, the right amount of information and connection so that they can be sure that this is something that they want to go into? It's always hard. I had 3 teenagers. They were moving targets, trust me, every one of them. So things like informational interviews, company tours, virtual company tours, virtual job shadows right now, informational events. So like to Rich's point, if you were thinking of building a cohort, we could put together an informational event around Construction 101 so that the potential participants know what to expect, know what they're going to be entering into. And it's an opportunity for the folks that are providing related instruction, training, or the employer, a chance to meet somebody prior to these. I think it's, again, goes back to the relationship-based nature of that. And Rich is, I can tell you, is spearheading a couple of events around the process, around some of the materials. And Rich, do you have a moment to speak to that?
Specific to?
I think more around just the earn and learn that we've been talking about quite a bit, that there's people, I think a lot of people ask, so how do I start this thing? And it's
Right. So one of the things we talked about on our last session, I think, is that we want to develop some additional training opportunities so that, for example, we're getting a bunch of these great questions about registered apprenticeship in the course of this session. because I think it's something that people just don't know a lot about statewide, or have thought that, you know, this is just something for aspiring plumbers and electricians and so forth. And when in fact, there are tons of apprenticeable trades that can be developed. But yeah, so we're looking to share more information about not just registered apprenticeship, but other earn and learn opportunities, get more information out about things like Construction 101 and Harbor Freight opportunities. But we were talking that last time about developing some training for our staff as well, for VR and Weber staff, about this, so that they can be talking with the schools, all the schools that they work with, in a more informed way about, you know, what's out there, you know, and how can they connect some of their students to those opportunities. So
Thanks. Thank you so much, Rich. One last quick question, I think, before we break at 11:25. From Sarah, how does one register for Harbor Freight? Students will be intrigued by the 1K bonus.
great question. So right now, we formally have 5 of our district offices who have said, yes, we want in, we want to work hard to try to enroll some Harbor Freight fellows. And those are the Newport, St. Johnsbury, Morrisville, Barry, and Rutland offices that have said, you know, yes, we want to be a part of that. So the business account managers or transition counselors in any of those offices can help you think about that if you have a student who might be interested in becoming a fellow. And what I'll say is, for other areas of the state, it doesn't mean that it can't happen in your areas. If there's an individual somewhere else in the state where this just looks like the right opportunity, please get in touch with me, and we can talk about the potential for bringing on other individuals outside of those regions as well. So
Thank you, Rich, so much.
yeah, wanted to make sure that we left folks also with our contact info. Uh-oh, what happened to that? Did that just disappear off every?